Welcome to the Savvy Radio Show with your host, the Savvy Landlord. Up next is the best deal ever. On Fridays, check out all episodes on SavvyRadioShow.com.
Yes, it's Friday. One of my favorite days. It should be yours because you should be chilling. But before you get on to the weekend, this is a great episode with Sean McVicker, the wholesale connoisseur, entrepreneur, wholesaler revealed. He is going to drop a wholesale deal on us today. Tell me about it.
So this deal is going to strike home with you a little bit. I don't know if you remember it or not, but this was actually, I think, the first deal that I ever wholesaled from the MLS.
Oh, yes, I remember it. It's on the Highlands.
No, this was on 41st Street.
Okay, keep going. I can't remember.
Yeah, 1429, 41st or something like that.
East side, northwest?
Northwest.
41st.
Yeah, Classen and 41st. So, I don't
The two-bedroom?
3.
The one with the house up top with the little room? No, that's... You sure that's the right address?
Yeah, I'm positive.
Okay, tell me about it more.
Okay. I don't even remember what I was doing on the MLS.
No, you were going through an MLS. I bought another house from you from an MLS.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The one in the Highlands. I gave you $500.
Yeah, so it was a different time in the market. You could actually find deals on the MLS, and so I'd find one, I'd, put in an offer that made enough room for myself and do that. But this was the first one I did. I put in the offer at $38,000 or something like that. The county assessor had it at 90 I believe, but it needed full rehab. And so at $38,000, the realtor says highest and best.
My favorite words.
I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
I hate that.
I was like, there's nobody on the other end of this. But sure enough, they say highest and best.
Did you leave it at 38?
No, I went up to like 42. I don't remember the exact situation, but I know I won, and I know it wasn't by much. And I later figured out you were the other bidder. But
okay, I'm trying to remember. But so how did you flip it to me? Did you get the accepting bid?
I did. I got the winning bid. I had to get a proof of funds. I don't even recall how I did that. I think I used a friend's proof of funds or something like that, but I sent it to them just to make it work. And
you signed the contract?
Yeah, I signed the contract. I think we made $20,000. It was a pretty sweet deal, but what really...
You did not sell me no house and made $20,000.
No, I didn't sell it to you.
Okay, so I know this house now. Okay, I remember.
Yeah, I didn't
get it. Okay, I was like, I still have it. No, I don't have that. I know exactly. Someone rehabbed it and you made $20,000. I remember.
Yeah. So what really hits home about that deal? It was really cool. It was the first one from the MLS. It sucked whenever I found out I was bidding against you, but
it's all good.
What was cool about this house was it was right between two other vacant houses in a really good neighborhood, and so of course the one that I flipped was a probate. Someone had passed away and their children were selling it. The house to the east of it was also a probate. It had been vacant for a long time, and the only heir happened to be in Japan. And the one to the west was owned by a local attorney. And I ended up working both of those to the bone, both of them through attorneys, but I flipped all 3 of those houses right there.
Dang, how was the Japan person? Because I have a out-of-the-country person right now I'm trying to chase down.
Man, that was insane. I was dealing with another attorney on that one on Classen, and she was just kind of saying, there's only so much I can do. We have to go through the probate process and then get them to even agree to what you want to pay. I said, okay. So I worked the crap out of that. I would be at her office like at least once a week, asking her if there's any new information. We got to be pretty decent friends, which was cool because she became a pretty good resource. And I would drive the neighborhood constantly, talking to the neighbors, asking them for information. Do they know anyone? Do they have any details? And one of the neighbors ended up having she had a key at one time, didn't know where it was, but she's like, I'll open the back door for you and you can crawl through the doggy door and take your pictures. So I did. I crawled through the dog door in the back and I took pictures so I could go ahead and, start getting some people interested in it. And when the time came, I put up my offer and they said, we want double that. And it took about 2 more weeks. They were in Japan, didn't know anything about the house. And
do you remember what the offer was?
I think I offered $30,000.
Yeah,
no, they didn't want double. They wanted $200,000.
Yeah, whatever. This is in California.
Yeah, it was insane.
I love those.
It was insane and absurd, and I was like, okay, it was almost relieving that it was, $200,000 and not $60,000, because $60,000 is realistic, but $200,000, I was like, yeah,
they're on drugs.
Yeah, they're about to get a wake up call, and they did, and the attorney, provided them everything I had,
comps,
photos, comps, and I think I might have had an appraisal done. But
dang, you are tenacious. You're doing all this work. You might not even get a signature.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
do you do that now?
Yeah, I've done that a number of times. We're doing one right now that we have to get 2 appraisals on because DHS has a lien and they require 2 appraisals. 2 different companies. So,
man, you are a wealth of knowledge. So what happened? So you got the Japan people. How'd you get them to convince them? And what'd you get it for?
I just spoke to the attorney one day and she said, they're on board.
For 30?
I was like, you're kidding. She said, nope. I said, no, you're kidding. She said, nope. And we did the deal.
Then what'd you flip it for?
Around the same as the other one, $60,000, I believe.
Wow, plus attorney fees and stuff subtracted.
Yeah, so I ended up making just over 20. The one on the west, though, was
so 2020.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going. Yeah.
The one on the west was the biggest pain because this attorney owned it. It had been vacant for a while. They'd done a few repairs in it. Say repairs. They were doing some major construction on it, but it had been sitting for a while. And I wanted to flip that one, but they said, we're not really interested. It's been broken a few times, but we don't really care. You know what we don't want? We don't want this house over here, 3 blocks south. And it was a monster. It was like 3 stories, needs like $100,000.
Like a Victorian type?
Yeah.
Okay.
On a major thoroughfare, needs $100,000 in repairs. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. They're like, yeah, you buy that one, you can have the other one. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I got to go look at this other house. It's a monster. I say, okay, if I can find someone to buy this one, I can do the other one. So, long story short, I did. I found someone to buy.
Was it Nathan Cow?
No. But what I did was I made the price really high on the big house and really low on the house that I really wanted. It was just weird how we structured the deal.
So it was like one contract for two houses, and then you had to find 2 sellers.
2 contracts. 2 contracts, 2 houses, and they wanted a certain number for one house. I think they wanted, what was it? $40,000 for the small house, and they wanted only $35,000 for the bigger house, which was completely
dumb.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense. But essentially, I even though they only wanted $30,000 for the big house or whatever, I couldn't sell it for very much. But I happened to find someone to pay $35,000, essentially $5,000 more than I had it under contract for, which was more than I expected. I would have been happy just to have someone buy it.
Sure, because you were trying to get the smaller one.
Yeah. So essentially, I made 5 on that one and then 20 on the smaller one, and flipped both of their houses.
How long ago was this?
This was November. Let's see, October, November of 2014.
Wow. So, I mean, what is your you just don't walk away from the hard ones. Have you noticed that the hard ones yield more?
The hardest ones have most definitely yielded more.
Right. And then what keeps you going? I mean, I know a lot of people have given up on, especially an attorney that was all assy and all mean and I don't want to sell. I don't care if people break into it. I usually walk away from those type of people. Yeah,
literally for 2 or 3 months, I showed up to their office also, at least once a week, sometimes every other week, but I would.
Man, where did you learn how to be so tenacious? Like, where'd that come from?
That's a good question.
Ingrained. I mean, I'm pretty impressed. People think that I'm an animal, like I relentless on what when I know I'm allowed, but when I know that there's no end in sight, I usually, or I know this is not going to go well, I usually kind of bow out within reason, take my losses. Some people are so prideful they don't take their losses, but you're like the Wild West. You just keep grinding it out, knowing, in hoping that you're going to get this deal. Because when they threw in that giant Victorian, I'm like, who is going to pay $100,000? Now today's market, of course, it's so hot.
Yeah.
You can buy anything and people will buy it. But back then, 2 years ago, I remember vividly a giant $100,000 rehab is riskful because you're only going to yield about 160, 170, maybe 200. Did you ever find out whatever happened to that big Victorian house?
I walked through it after they rehabbed it. It took them about a year and a half.
That's like right now.
Yeah, it was mind-blowing.
And then, did they make a killing?
I don't think they made a killing, but they probably made 50 or 60 grand.
That is a killing in some people, but not for a year and a half worth of work.
Yeah.
All right. Well, man, that's a good Friday. Hopefully that inspires you to be tenacious, that you never know. You could pop 3 deals on one street. You know what's interesting? I'm finishing up a wholesale deal that I'm doing in Edmond, and the guy has a condo that he wants to sell at the same time. Do you find that pretty common where I have this property? Usually, is that pretty common?
You know what? It's common if you ask. And that's the difference I've seen, is for the longest time I never asked if they had another property or if they knew someone. But when you start to ask, you realize how many people actually do have more than one property, and they just don't think to tell you because the other property is not the problem property, but they're just as willing to sell it.
Awesome. And they needing cash or something. I was doing a final inspection on a wholesale deal, flipping a property, and that guy, the seller, suggested a friend of his was selling a property too. Have you come across that? Like a friend of a friend knows a property that's for sale?
Yeah, once or twice I've had that.
Yeah, pretty remarkable. All right, Sean, it's always a pleasure to have you back on the radio show. Today is Friday. Go enjoy it. Go look at a deal, and whatever you do, go buy assets.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at savvyradioshow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook, and always be buying assets.